Alright, so this is going to be a tutorial to show you how to use the exposure to kind of create like more of like a cloudy effect in your photo. This will kind of like help to kind of create like a little bit more depth in your photo, so you get like a better sense of like space, things that are closer to you, things that are further back. So it's pretty easy though. So basically we're just going to click on the adjustments panel, and we're going to click on where it says exposure. So click on exposure, and just make sure it's not connected to any of the other layers. So if it's connected to it, like how this one's connected to that, I just clicked on that button. You can unclick that button to create it as a separate layer. But basically with the exposure, exposure that controls your basically the how light and how dark your picture is. So, if you want, you can, play around with the exposure a little bit more as a separate layer. But click on this offset button. Gamma kind of controls like the brightness and darkness. So, you know, you might want to play around with the exposure just to fix the lighting a little bit more. I think that looks a little bit better than before. It kind of pops up the colors a little bit better. So I'm actually going to make another exposure on top of that. But exposure is like another way to control your brightness and the contrast. It kind of does it more of like in a condensed way. But you're going to click on this button that says offset. So the more you raise the offset, the grayer the picture becomes, or the more like it kind of creates more like a foggy effect to that photo. So I'm just going to leave it like right here. I mean, that's a pretty good middle ground. And you're going to use exposure. Maybe move it around in between certain layers here. Like, I'm playing around with like the idea of like the foreground, middle ground, and background. So, I kind of like it like over here right now. Whoops, it's in that layer. So just be careful, like when you squeeze in between like certain layers, they might actually merge into the other layers by accident. Oops, something really weird happened. So you can always go to history, undo. We'll just undo up to this point here. Alright, so I'm actually going to put it in between these two layers here. And you can see how like this is kind of like popping out more now, since it's it's like behind the exposure I made was like behind the other layers. And you can also change your opacity, bring it down a little bit more. It's a little too strong. And I'm just going to play around with it a little bit more. So you can also do the layer mask here. I'm just going to use a big fuzzy brush. Change this to 30. Actually gonna make it bigger with the bracket keys, and I'm just gonna like fade it out a little bit more, so it's like a little bit more sharper in the front, and then it's gonna start to go into like a more faded effect in the background here. So you can kind of play around with this, see what kind of effects you can go for. So I'm actually gonna copy and paste this layer that I made. I'm gonna duplicate it. That way I'll have to make it again, and you really can play around a lot with those layers. So like right here, maybe I might want to have it like behind the mountain or behind the tiger as well. So I'm just going to keep scrolling down here. And this one I can probably make it a little bit stronger for like the back part of my background. Maybe not as strong, but it's a little bit stronger. This kind of plays around with it a little bit more. So I'm going to fade this out a little bit. And maybe just pop it up a little bit more. It might be a little too strong, but yeah, just play around with it. Maybe I might want to make like another layer in the front. So I'm just duplicating this layer a couple of times, just see like what kind of effects I can do. Maybe I'll put this in the very, very front of the picture. But this time instead of I'm just coloring all the way just so it's got the whole effect on it. But maybe I want to like maybe put some clouds in the foreground. So I might actually pop this up a little bit more. So it's kind of like creating like kind of like a misty effect to the picture. I'm actually just gonna erase that there. So look at my layer mask. I'm basically just erasing like on the top here, and then I'm just having like some more of the clouds on the bottom. You can always double click this to change your offsets a little bit more. it's kind of creating like a cloudy effect to it. So you just play around with it, you know, see what effects you like. This one might be a little bit too strong. I'm gonna click on this eyeball just to change how it looks. So that's one easy way of you know, adding a little bit more to it without messing up the picture. So I think it looks pretty good.